Okay, welcome everybody. Hi, thank you for being here. This is Anusara Elements, or Align with the Divine, and I'm this practice, this particular rendition of class. Um, I want to bring and build toward and engage in a nurturing, heart-opening practice. Um, these practices are often challenging, physically challenging, which is awesome and wonderful. And I'm not saying that this one won't be. But I want to help us move forward with greater ease and with greater grace and with healing and holding space holding, and have this be an opportunity to work on processing grief, to processing challenging emotions. So I really encourage you to experience this practice as a gesture of self-care, so that our moods may improve, that our nerves may be soothed, that we can discharge some of the built up energy, physical energy, emotional energy that is very likely stored in your physical and your subtle body. I want to say that it requires a lot of inner strength to process grief, and we're all processing grief in different ways. But just a little bit of what to expect. We're going to be calling on quite a bit of chest opening postures and heart opening back bends and twists to help keep the energy moving in the heart space, and to actually then work toward, in the last chunk of class, some restorative poses to calm our nervous system and to help and repair some of the fatigue that is felt with grief. I also want to encourage you, and I'll try to remind you in terms of the breath, to really practice full, complete exhalations during this practice. Full, complete exhalations. The inhale will happen naturally. We're wired to survive and to breathe without thinking about it. Certainly, conscious inhalations are powerful anytime, but really focusing on the full, complete exhale as much as you can. I'm also going to invite, if you're with me live, to be on gallery view for this opening bit and for the invocation, even if you close your eyes. I'm going to do our invocation a little bit differently, where I'm going to play an audio of the invocation being sung by a kula, by a community. And I just want us to feel, rather than you just hearing my voice sing the invocation, I want you to feel more of a sense of togetherness and that you are in a group. So I think it's powerful to be in the gallery view here. If you're watching this later on recording, just imagining the group and listening when we get there. So with that, please do open your eyes for a moment. Take a look around the virtual space to the faces that you see, reminding us that we are never alone, and we all come together in the name of light and love and the truth and growth. And it is my honor and my privilege to be here with you, as always. And then lean back and sit tall. Roll your shoulders back, and you're welcome to close and open your eyes at any point. I'm not going to be sharing the words of the invocation today because I really want it to be more listened to in a felt sense, but a gentle, loving reminder that I do have a video tutorial of the Anusara invocation in the Happiness Bliss library if you want to go to it and practice it and learn it. So close your eyes, turn inward, place the hands where it feels natural that you can do that. Prayer position, hand to chest, hand to solar plexus, hand to thighs. And right away, just notice the physical sensations that you might be feeling. See if you can try to name them. So tense, or tired, or heavy. Not overanalyzing them, just seeing if you can notice and name. And then see if you can name your emotional state as well. And it's going to be layered. There'll be probably several. So sad, or anxious, relieved, angry, confused. And rather than shutting down or turning away from our feelings and our grief and whatever it is that we're feeling, the practice of naming what you're experiencing actually helps us to become present with the moment so that we can begin to heal. I was listening to the Dan Harris podcast yesterday, one of them, and he was just saying, it actually feels better to really like lean into the grief and to the pain than to shove it down and let it just haunt me in the background. And so just a loving reminder too, as you practice, if you're here live with me, like anytime you want to turn off your screen, or if you feel moved to tears or whatever, because that's sitting there, like do that. Let this be an act of self-care and self-love. All right, take a deep breath in and take a full exhale out, all the way out. Press it out, 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 out. And then if you feel comfortable, bring your hands into prayer. Anjali Mudra. And I offer this intention today. May this practice reconnect me to my body, ground me in the here and now, and heal me from my grief. I ask for clarity and the strength to let go of any limiting beliefs that keep me resistant to change and unavailable to growth. Instead, may I open my heart, see beyond reason, accept without condition, and love without hesitation. May this practice be blessed. Take a deep breath in, please. Exhale everything out. As we inhale, we'll exhale to Om. Oops, sorry. Hold. Father Sky. Well intentioned. 1 second. There we go. your chin to your heart. Release your hands and open your eyes. Thank you. All right, so we will begin our practice now. So you can switch to your speaker view. I'm going to spotlight my video so you see me big. And if you are using your music, you can start it and come to hands and knees on your yoga mat. Taking your palms outer shoulder width apart on your space here. Pointer fingers pointed straight ahead. Knees underneath your hips, tuck your toes. Take a deep breath into your side ribs, around your heart space, and as you exhale, just soften. Inhale, draw your heart forward and your hips high, cow pose. And then as you exhale, push the floor away, really round your spine and exhale to completion. Wait for the impulse to inhale and keep going, cow and cat. In a loving way for yourself. If we're not continually coming back to care for ourselves, to take care of ourselves, we can't show up. We can't be the change makers we want to be. We can't continue with our Dharma work if we're not tending to our own hearts, our own bodies, our own health, our own breath and healing. So let this be that for you. Okay, last couple of breaths here, maybe circling hips and head. Sort of dusting the cobwebs from your tired body. All right, and then you're gonna find your 2 yoga blocks. You can do this without blocks if you don't have them, but take your blocks on your second setting to start. And we're gonna take a sort of passive puppy pose stretch with the hands on the blocks. And it's okay if your head doesn't touch the ground, but a nice good stretch right out the gate here into the shoulders, but let it be soft and relatively passive. You want to try to keep your elbows pretty straight just so that you feel this across your chest and in your shoulders. A couple of breaths here. Remember, really exhaling everything out every time. Okay, now this is just going to transition to a more active stretch. So tone your belly and your front ribs in and let your head float off the ground. Push your hands down into the blocks. So you're still in puppy, head is hovering, belly is drawing in, front ribs are lifting up. Take 2 more breaths here. You're pushing your hands strongly down into your blocks. Good, and then one more time, soften down into the passive form, forehead down. It might feel really good to take a couple of deep, deep breaths. Good. And then to come out of it, we pass through that active form. We push the hands down. We tone the front ribs in. Lift all the way up and move your hands onto the mat. Good. Pointer finger straight ahead, taking that right into first downward facing dog. So keeping your knees bent. Now take all that opening and stretch into Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. As you do this, you can lift your armpits a little bit, feeling your shoulder blades hug onto the back body. Make sure your jaw is soft and your forehead. Start to pedal through your feet, waking up the backs of your legs, soles of your feet, the toes, the ankles. 2 more breaths here. Stretch your right leg up behind you. Just let it be a nice, wild, open stretch. So don't worry about the hips square. Just big, take up space here. And then as gracefully as you can, bend your knee, bring it in towards your forehead, look forward, and step your foot forward. Give it some help if it needs that. And then we'll lower down to the back knee. So take your blanket under your back knee if you need to. It's up to you, really, today. It might feel nice to untuck the back toes or to keep them tucked for more stability. Hips forward just a few times to pulse in and out. Hands to blocks. All right, and then walk your hands up onto your front thigh. Take your thighs back and then scoop your tailbone under just enough to give you some power and some buoyancy in your chest. Take the hands around. Option 1, just hands to your hips, elbows really squeezing back. Option 2, if you can clasp your hands and really squeeze the fists together, go there. And then just see where you're able to move to without losing your breath, without losing your ability to exhale completely. A nice chest expansion here. My thumbs are sliding down my back thigh. And then I'm drawing the chin in slightly, tips of the ears back, but also up. 2 breaths. Good, gently release your arms, just big expansion, arms up to the sky. And then exhale, hands down, move your blocks off to the sides, plant your palms, lift your back knee, and step back, downward facing dog. Second side, left leg all the way up. Down and away, let the left toes stretch toward the sky. And then fold your knee in toward your nose, lean to the right to make space. Bring that left foot all the way forward, lower down to your back knee. Hands to your blocks, you can move forward and back. I mentioned it yesterday, the quote that I had read about, it was particularly about anger, but it can apply to any of the more uncomfortable emotions like grief, sadness. There's nothing bad about those things. They're just another guest at the party, right? They're another guest at the party. So we have to hold space for them. So whatever is being felt, in particular, this class is about discharging and processing the grief that, you know, if you haven't had a good cry yet, like it's coming, and it's a good thing. All right, bring your hands up on top of your front thigh. We squeeze in a bit, take the sitting bones back, and then scoot the tailbone under to start to bring a lift to your pelvic floor that supports your heart space. Lift the armpits, wrap your hands back behind your back, opposite grip or awkward grip here, squeeze the palms together, elbows back, and then as you lunge, start to slide your knuckles down. By just continuing to press a bit into your front foot, you're gonna feel the low belly lift, and that's good. Breathe softness into the edges. Exhale completely. Breathe in really deep when you need to. One more breath. Release your arms, sweep them up, a nice big expansive stretch here on Anjaneyasana. And then fingertips back down to the floor, to the blocks. Now lift the back knee up now. Slide your hands or your blocks forward and rock forward to the front of your mat into Uttanasana. So your feet hip width apart for this first one, maybe even wider, but all 10 toes pointing straight ahead. Bend your knees and just shake, bounce a few times, bounce, bounce, bounce. Let your head, your neck, your shoulders just become passive. Release some of that energy. We carry so much in our upper shoulders. Shake it out, empty yourself out, pour yourself out. Good, and then bring your fingers to the ground, keeping your knees bent, heart forward, inner groins back. Look forward, heart. Get longer in your spine, and then exhale, refold. Again, inhale, inner thighs back, heart stretches forward. Exhale, fold, empty everything out. Once more. And fold. Good, and then just start to see to what degree you can push through your feet and straighten your legs. And as you do, maybe you wrap your arms around your legs like you were giving your legs a hug. You can still do this with your knees bent. And as your forearms wrap around your shins, you can squeeze your shins into the midline, but then resist that with your upper thighs. Squeeze them apart or press them apart. And release your hands. Lengthen your heart forward once again, way, way forward with your hips back. Hands to your hips, softness in your knees. Squeeze your elbows toward the ceiling and come all the way up to stand. Good. Hands down by your sides. And then again, maybe just a bit of a shake out here, a bounce. So we're going to take the right arm under left for a big self hug. Right arm under left, big self hug. And I'm trying to get my fingers into the space underneath my scapula. Just give a little massage there with the fingers. And then you can just flat palm. We're going to do this action of the self hug several times. And I want you to imagine that, like, the big divine arms of source, God, universe, angels, ancestors, whoever it is, coming up from behind you and wrapping you in her arms. Now keep that general fold, but we're going to start to take the arms overhead and just slide your hands until you're now cupping opposite elbows. Okay, so make sure that that same arm is on top. Soften your knees, soften your knees. And we're going to start one big circle in each direction. Feeling into the side body stretch. I'm going to bend my knees. I'm going to let my forearms come down toward the ground like ragdoll. And I'm going to keep it going all the way around, but I'm going to go slow, and I'm really going to savor. I'm going to breathe through the jagged parts where I feel my breath get choppy. Come up. Good. 2 more times in that same direction. Slow and steady. Good. And then when you get there, release your arms all the way down by your sides. Good. Now open your arms wide. We'll take the other side. So now the left arm under right. Big self hug again. Couple of breaths to just like palpate behind your shoulder blades. Bring some action there, some electricity, some awakeness. And then just flat palm, and just stand, embracing yourself, hugging yourself, holding yourself. Feeling these arms as the arms of the divine, wrapping you in love, nurturing you. And then slowly start to take the arms overhead, sliding into a opposite cupping of the elbows. Your other forearm should be on top. Soften your knees. Take a deep inhale, and then we'll exhale the opposite side, the opposite direction, starting with the side bend. Really go slow. And like, there's a spot right in here for me where I'm like, ooh, there's my QL, my low back. If I can really get into that and breathe and smooth that out, I can tell that I'm reaching a part of my body that hasn't been reached. And that's good. We're going 3 big slow circles in that direction. Hi, caramba, it is hot in the yoga coop today. I'm gonna open this up. It's like 98 degrees in Temecula. Whew. Keep going. Good, and when you're done with that third round, just a nice big stretch, open, hands down by your sides. And from the top of the yoga mat, we'll sweep up, reaching skyward. Fingertips touch overhead, and when they do, trace the hands down through the midline prayer until a fold, fingertips touch the ground, touch the earth. Uttanasana. Heart lengthens forward. Inhale, exhale, bend your knees, plant your palms, step back to plank position, please. Hands are still like they were in that first tabletop, pointer fingers pointed straight ahead. 3 breaths just in plank. Good. And then lift your hips, downward facing dog. Take one more in breath and a complete exhale. Good. Please lower down just to your left knee. Just to your left knee in preparation for this variation of side plank, or in this case, we're using it as a modified Ardha Chandra Chapasana. So don't worry about it if you don't know what that means, you'll see. So I'm on my left knee, my left hand pointed straight ahead. I'm gonna lift here, and where I'm headed is I wanna practice the feeling of reaching my right hand down my shin, finding the top of my foot, and then taking it back into sort of this dancer's pose, find, Nataraj bind. And I'm interested in the process. So you can even take it a few times where you slide your hand up your shin, you bring your knee into your chest and slide it back. And this is in prep for when we do this on our standing foot a little later, but we're just seeing what's possible. One more time. Good. And then still breathing, big stretch, extend out through arm and through leg, make a big rainbow arc with your body. And release back to center. Tuck both toes, lift both hips, downward facing dog. Take a breath. As peacefully as you can, lower down just to your right knee. Spin the right toes to the right, spin your heart open to the left. Really ground down with that supporting hand. Pick up your left leg. Start to reach for your knee. Slide your hands down the front of your shins. Practice this action of finding your foot, kicking back, or just doing the best you can. And then maybe a few times. Sliding in, hugging it in, and taking it back. This isn't just opening the top shoulder, it's also strengthening the bottom shoulder of the heart, rolling back, finding strength for how much strength it requires to do the work sometimes. Last breath or two. And then gently release, foot down, that rainbow arc of the body here, left arm alongside the ear. And look down, gently release hands and knees. A child's pose now. Invitation to just take regular child's pose or to use your blocks. I apologize, I see it's kind of dark down there. But with your hands on your blocks to any height, you can get a little additional stretch and opening. Also option to bring the blocks underneath your elbows and rest the head on the floor. Couple of breaths, let yourself be held. Full exhales every time. We'll take the next 3 to 5 breaths to make our way back into the downward facing dog. Stretch your right leg from down dog behind you, but keep the hips square this time. Toes down. And then knee to nose with strength and control. Look forward, climb your right foot forward into lunge. We'll stay active here. It's up to you if you want to take your hands to blocks. Keep the back knee lifted, charge up the back thigh. Take your right arm, carve it under your right thigh. And then unravel it and open to a twist to the right. We're going to do that a few times. So we're going to hug the right thigh, drop the head, and then twist and open the chest with your breath. Keep drawing the right hip crease back. Good, and then one more time. And twist and hold a few breaths. I'm going to take my left hand, my bottom hand, more over to the left so that I can twist a little more and have a little more space. You might want to do that too. Deep breath in. Satisfying exhale as you unwind to prepare for plank. Step your right foot back to meet your left, pause. 3 rounds of scapular push-ups or the gecko press. Chest down, press up. Chest down, press up. Arms stay straight, just 3. And then pause. And then in your own way, lower all the way down onto the floor for Shalabhasana. We're going to outstretch the legs here. For this one, we're going to take the hands behind the back. So you have the same options here as when we were in the lunge. You can either just stretch your hands back unbound or interlace your fingers and squeeze your palms together. For this Shalabhasana, everything that can lift will lift. Exhale everything out. Inhale, lift everything up. Legs stay straight though. And just feel in your front body where you're balancing. So I can feel from my bottom ribs to the tops of my thighs, I'm still down. You might be balancing just on your pelvis or your belly. More of you might be down. Whatever it is, just notice that feeling. Lift your hands a little higher, one more breath. Good, and then just gently release down and turn your face to the side. Short rest. Tierney said yesterday on our Kula chat, rest and retreat are not the same things. We need to rest. But we've got to pick ourselves back up at some point. Keep going. So rest when you need the rest. Take a few more breaths here. Just feel your heart beating into the floor. Full exhalation. All right, bring your face back to center. Place your palms next to your ribs. Turn your fingers open a little bit. Tone your legs and lift up into cobra. Cobra pose, shoulders back, heart space open. And then bring it back to hands and knees, downward facing dog. Hips stay square. Lift your left leg, toes keep pointed down. And then look forward, lean forward, climb your left foot through into lunge. Active lunge, so lift, tone up your back thigh. Draw your left hip crease back, pause, nice long spine. Left arm comes underneath the left thigh. And then unwind and twist to the left. So keep going there with the breathing. Let it be clean in its execution. Let it be mindful, but let it be true and authentic and exactly flavored with what you need right now. And then after you've done about 5 or so, pause in the twist. Consider taking your right hand wider for a wider base and then leaning back, twisting more. Draw your left hip crease back. One more breath. And gently release back to center for plank once again. Three gecko presses here, scapular push-ups. 1, 2, 3. Find neutral and lower to the floor. Prepare for another round, Shalabhasana. Locust, hands behind your back, opposite grip this time, the awkward way. You're gonna wait and you're gonna intentionally exhale everything out. On an inhale, you'll lift everything up. Lift a little higher. Last breath. And then we get to release, turning the face to the other side and just be held here. Last few breaths. Again, a beautiful benefit of all practicing from our homes is that you can really do what is calling to you without worrying about messing anyone else up. So if you're like, I just need to lay here for a while, do that. If you're ready to move forward, come back to center. Place your palms by your ribs, turn the fingers open, elbows squeeze to the sky. Lift up into cobra once again. And then take it back to sit to the heels. We're gonna come into a brief thunderbolt pose. So just simple sitting at the heels. Right arm wraps under the left, self-hug. Here we are again. Just sit. Good, gently unwind, big open heart, open arms. And other side, left arm under right. This is the universal hug, the universal hold. All right, release, open your arms. And exhale, soften your hands down. Downward facing dog, please. Steady your breath. Take your right leg up to the sky. This time you will bend your knee. Lift the knee, open the hips. Keep pointing your heart toward your bottom knee. And then bring the right knee to the forehead. Step the right foot forward into lunge. Spin your back heel down. Come up with your right forearm on your right thigh, left hand on your hip for side angle prep. I'm just going to turn so that you can see me. Okay, making sure that your left hand to your bottom ribs and draw them forward as you start to spin your heart toward the sky. Just feel the support of your own arm supporting underneath your heart. Good, release the arm, take a big sweep around, up and over alongside the ear. Okay, bring your hand back to your hip. Hopefully you have a block nearby. Look down, take your right hand outside your pinky toe of your right foot and forward. Now we're going to be moving into Ardha Chandrasana, but with a very particular action I want you to pay attention to. It's slow and it's challenging, but it's really good and strong. Look at your right knee as you shift forward into the balance. And what we're going to try to avoid is the knee rocking in and out. So we're going to go in and out several times. So you can start by hopping your back foot in a bit, but keep an eye on your right knee out of your peripheral vision or with your eyes fully on it. And as you shift, watch how it wants to roll in. See if you can resist that. And then come back to where you were. We're going to try to go in and out at least 3 times. Steady that knee. It's really hard. There it is. Now, once you find it, you could stay there, or let's do what we drilled when we were on our hands and knees. Can you slide your left hand to your left knee, slide it down your shin, find the top of your foot, and then kick back. And you can go in and out, or just hold it here. A couple of breaths. If you fall, you fall. Every time you get up, you get stronger. Now, I will tell you when you come out, we're going back to set up for triangle, and the challenge is going to be to keep that knee tracking straight ahead in the exit, which is hard, but we can do hard things. So when you're done on this side, release your foot, maybe hand to hip. Look to that standing knee. Try to keep it straight ahead. Ooh, mama. And then release, walk your block in. And almost as an act of rest, triangle pose. Big stretch, strong arms, straight arms and legs. Use your block however you like. Arms wherever you want it to go. We're going to take the left arm alongside the ear. We're going to pivot it all around to Prasarita Padottanasana. So hands around, turn your right toes in, fold, straddle, fold. Oh, let your head just hang heavy. Any variations here are welcome, whatever's calling to you. Feet are parallel in the pose, but I'm asking for strong legs and a very passive upper body. So once again, empty yourself. And exhale completely. All right, walk your hands forward, lengthen your heart forward. Pivot your right foot to the right, walk your hands over to frame the foot, moving into lunge so that we can release, moving through a vinyasa of your choice if you so choose, or taking a rest before we take the second side. Finding yourself in downward facing dog or child's pose for a few breaths. And then gathering yourself to move into the second side from downward facing dog. When you're ready, we'll lift the left leg high to the sky and bend the knee. Lift the knee as high as you can as you cluck open your hips, but point your heart towards your right knee for a twist in the spine. And keep that top knee bent in the transition, knee to the forehead. And then step forward into lunge. Spin your back heel down. Come up with the left forearm on the left thigh, right hand on the right hip. Good. Really charge up this right leg. Good. Take the right hand, wrap the right hand under your left ribs, and draw the left ribs forward as you start to twist your heart and look skyward. With that hand, with that whole forearm making contact with your front ribs, can you feel the presence of breath, of heartbeat? You can free that right arm, take a big sweep around, up and over. You extend out through the right fingertips. Keep pushing into that back foot especially. Good, right hand to the right hip. Okay, preparing to move into this balance, look down, find your block. You're gonna slide your block in your left hand forward a few inches. It's outside of the left knee. Hop your back foot in a bit. And again, we're working on tracking the left knee straight ahead and not letting it wobble, particularly in the transition. Really safe and important for knee health. So with your breath, go slow as you can, really challenge it. You should be shaking. If you're shaking, that's good. If you're not shaking, try going slower and come back out. So about 3 times. Whoop. It's always amazing to me how exhausting that is to try to have really good knee alignment here. I'm gonna keep trying. And once you found your third round, push into a strong, straight standing leg if you can, using that block. And then without needing to look at it, your right hand slides down the thigh, you bend the right knee into the chest, challenge yourself in the whole transition. Hug the shin in, slide your hand along your foot. As you try to move toward Ardha Chandra, Chapasana, and you fall, if you fall, we're all gonna fall at some point. And I always say if you fall in any pose, give it one more try, even if it's for a second, so that you always end rather than ending when you fell. Now remember, whenever you're ready to exit, release your foot. Try to keep tracking that knee straight ahead in the transition back to triangle and go as lightly as you can. Oh, and your triangle is your rest. You can take the arm alongside the ear if you like. And one more time, we'll cross the arm in front of the face, come around into the wide-legged straddle folds. So turn your toes in and hang. Walk your hands forward, lengthen your spine, and then step or jump your feet together into a crouch. And we're gonna come all the way up to stand. All right, so I just wanna give you an option at the wall quickly. We're not gonna dwell here long because I wanna get us down into our restoratives, but if you have wall space and you would like to take a handstand of any, either the L pose handstand or kicking up, go for it. I'm gonna just do a passive wall dog. So a passive wall dog. I'm gonna get close to the wall. I'm gonna put my hands up high and I'm gonna let my heart melt. And it is similar to that first puppy that we did on blocks. So I'm not working on L shape here right now. My hands are high, my heart is soft. And it's a pretty passive stretch. Options here to let your head hang, look toward the wall, or maybe look with your eyes upward for more intensity. So we're just gonna take about 1 minute at the wall to either do that, to do a standing L pose, feet on the wall, or to kick up to handstand, okay? I'm not guiding it, it's just if you want to, before we come down to the floor. And of course, you've got space to do all three if you want. So let it be whatever it is. Find your bolster as you make your way back to your mat if you had moved to the wall. So put a bolster behind you. And we're gonna start with a reclined hero as one option. Your second option, if that's too much on your knees, will be Supta Baddha Konasana. Okay, so it's totally up to you. If you're going for the hero form, you're gonna come onto your knees, Knees as wide as your sitting bones. And I'm gonna draw the skin, the muscles directly behind my knees straight back as I make space for my butt to come down between my heels. And I'm gonna inwardly rotate my thighs. Inwardly rotate my thighs. My feet are very active. Okay, so right here, this is already enough, but this is really good for the knees, good stretch for the knees, knee mobility, but it might not be great in your body. So just again, your second option is to sit on your butt soles of the feet together. With the bolster behind you from either position, get it right up to your sacrum. In fact, I actually like to push the edge of the bolster down and really nestle it in there. You might want to block nearby as well. And you're going to start the process of reclining. Now, I will say, if you are in the form that I'm in, Supta Virasana, I'm still quite active in my legs. The action in my legs, my feet, my ankles, my knees are allowing me to release my upper body. And if you're sitting with the soles of your feet together, you have a little more freedom to be more passive, to just give into gravity. Wherever you choose to be for about 7 to 10 breaths, exhale completely every time you breathe. See if you can bear witness to the sensations as they shift and morph. Perhaps from more comfortable to less comfortable, or vice versa. Just noticing. If you're in Supta Virasana, when you're ready to come out, you're going to tuck your chin, use your hands, and very slowly your counter pose is one last downward facing dog to flush the knees. So go very slowly. If you're on your back in Supta Baddha Konasana, you can just stay there. Good. And then from wherever you are, slowly start to make your way back up to a seat. And so we're all going to leave the bolster where it is, more or less, and be in a seat. We're going to do a supported twist with the bolster. Now, if you've got two blocks here, I think this can be sometimes a nice variation because you have a little room maybe for your arms or maybe not, or maybe it just helps to give you the proper angle. So bolster here, I'm going to bring my outer hip right up to it. And then I want you to think about this action that we did before in some of the poses. As you lengthen your spine, draw the ribs around, and we're going to lay belly down and twist. And if you've got the blocks, you can actually hug the bolster in that space you created underneath between the blocks. And if not, just go hands down. Or focus in the same direction as your knees, or for more twist, away from the knees. Good, everybody looks great. So just notice how it feels when you know, like, It's not a trick. I'm not going to make you do like sit-ups or anything after this. Like this is, we're going down, like we're resting, we're unwinding, like to give yourself the permission to restore yourself. And sometimes we need to discharge and the energy in our body in a way, in a strong way, like in a way that makes us sweat, in a way that feels challenging, so that we can actually rest here without being so fidgety and distracted that we can't rest at all. Okay, another breath or two on this side. And place your palms to frame the bolster. And start to gently come up. Whichever way feels more intuitive to just turn and face the other side. Start that process. Again, you want to be very close to your bolster if you've got a bolster like me. And then we got to find a lot of length, and then a twist so that we can lay the belly down, the heart, the ribs. Your eyes can be soft, and your breath can be natural. When you think of it, or when you find your mind wandering, come back to that full exhalation. Let that be a dharana or a focal point for you. Otherwise, just let yourself be breathed. Good. One more breath, please. And gently unwind and bring your hands to support you coming back up to your seat. And our last pose before we take Shavasana will be a supported forward bend. If you've got the pillows here, let it be something like this, where you feel some support. Now, sometimes it feels better to put that support under your knees and let it be more like this. Okay, so you can play with it. We'll just be here about 45 seconds or so. I like to bend my elbows and support my head with my hands, but you might also do that with blocks or whatever wants to come, come, whatever wants to go, go. Last few breaths. And gently bring yourself back up. And to set for our Shavasana, we're going to put that bolster underneath the knees or the thighs or some part of your leg that allows your low back to feel well and supported. So I'm going to drape my legs over in this way, come down onto my back. So there's a way you can do it where your feet are still lower than your knees, like mine are, or maybe it feels better to have your heels up higher and let it be sort of a passive inversion. Just gonna find what feels good for just a few minutes. And then one last time, we're gonna self-hug, right arm over left. And gently release that. Another side, left arm over right. Wrapping yourself in love and compassion and nourishment, support. And then when you're ready, you can just let your arms open out to the sides. Let your arms be disorganized, just naturally. Let yourself be held for a brief Shavasana to just be with yourself as you are. Whatever you witness arise within you right now, see if you can just witness it, watch it. If it's an impulse, if it's a thought, if it's a feeling, try not to react to it, just be with it, hold space for it, and watch it as it shifts into something else. You're welcome to stay, of course. However, if your time is allocated to the time that I set out for the class, we'll start to draw the in, roll to one side. Press up to your seat, if you so choose. And bring your hands to your heart in prayer or just to the heart space. And I'll close with this final prayer or intention. Giving strength to the spirit within and beyond, I ask for continued strength as I walk this path of healing. May I grow more compassionate, empathetic, and loving, not in spite of my grief, loss, and experience, but because of them. Thank you, Spirit, for my life, because it is and will continue to be truly blessed. May I never take a single moment for granted. May I honor this and all moments as sacred and trust the process of healing. May it teach me as well as I surrender to the truths revealed and open my heart to love more widely and boldly than I ever imagined possible. Just a silent om, from wherever you are. In humble gratitude and acknowledgement of our highest selves and of one another, we bow. Namaste.